Hello Internet, my name is Matt, and this is the year of the kilt, and end of April, almost into May. So we're getting there, making some good progress, still wearing the kilt every day, just because I can for no other reason. And today, we are branching out. We've been wearing kilts worn by other people, made by other people, you know, by actual clothing companies. And today, I'm going to see if I can get away with rocking the Belted Plaid, which is, according to some people, maybe one of the earliest versions of the kilts and how the ye olde Highlanders made their kilts back in the day. So what I got on right now is that very same thing. It's just a length of fabric that I've pleated and wrapped around myself, and the pleats are sloppy, because I'm a sloppy kind of dude. And then there's this big freaking ducktail back here, because there's a lot of extra fabric. This is just like a lightweight Joann's fabric. There's not a lot to it, so I had to get an awful lot of fabric. I think this is, I'm wearing 8 yards, and it does not feel like 8 yards by any means. Interestingly enough, while shopping for fabric for this kind of thing, especially in smaller towns, it's really freaking hard to get a full bolt of fabric anywhere. I couldn't buy one. I couldn't get 8 or 9 or 10 yards of fabric. I had to buy like 5 yards here and 3 yards there, and then see if I could find someone to sew it together, and that was stupid. But I wear a kilt like this a lot when I'm out camping, because the fabric serves as all kinds of fun things. You can use it as a blanket, you can use it as a little picnic pad, you can wear it obviously as a kilt, you can wear it as a shawl, as a scarf, really big freaky scarf. And I think that's part of the reason you know, the old Highlanders kind of did it the way that they did. You know, the true kilted badasses were just essentially wearing a blanket that they fucking pleated around themselves and made it look a little fancy. And then as time went on, kilts got a little more romanticized. And, you know, we've essentially come to our, you know, the ridiculous kilts that we wear today with all the buckles and fringes and whatever. But back in the day, it was just a piece of fabric, and it was your blanket, it was your kilt, obviously, it was your shelter, it was, you know, it was everything. And you probably only, I would presume that the average person then only had one, and that was all you got. And so if you ripped it, then you dealt with it, and whatever. So that's what we're doing today. There are plenty of much better videos on the internet as to how to wear one of these bad boys. But I figured we'd just put one together real quick if I can find an intelligent place to put my phone, which we may or may not be able to do. So to start, here is just, I don't know, 5-ish or less yards of fabric, maybe like 4. And it's just an example because I'm wearing, obviously, the good one. I forgot to get out a belt, so we'll get out a belt. We'll get out a big fucking kilt belt, which I never wear because they're huge and, in my estimation, ridiculous, when just a simple normal belt is fine. You don't need the big crazy one. Maybe that's just me. Alright, so you start with your mucho grande fabric, and the first thing you want to do is I kneel about so far in, so my toes are hanging over the back, and this is going to be the part that wraps around underneath the apron. So from my toes to my knees. And then, I wonder if I can set my phone down. Not really. We could pretend. You just, where am I? You just grab a piece of fabric, and with both hands, since I'm using one hand to hold the phone like a retard, and you pull it towards you, and you make pleats. So let's see if I can do something about this phone. I may not quite get there. Oh, I feel an answer coming on. Bear with me. There you go. It's like I did it on purpose. Anyway, so you have a section of the fabric, and you have both of your hands. You can't see one of them. And you just pull the fabric and pleat it. And if you're fancy about it, you can get it to make very universal, very nice pleats. And if you're a lazy shit about it like me, you just get away with whatever you can get away with until you've got the entire piece of fabric pulled and pleated, and eventually, hopefully, you'll find that your butt will fit in the space that you've pleated, and then you'll have an apron and an apron, which would be like here-ish. So then, you got an apron. This is the front apron, because it's going to wrap around when I'm going to have my feet that way. And then there's another apron that you sort of can see over here. That's the inside apron. And you take your belt, and I kind of scrunch it up. Maybe you're not supposed to do this, I don't know. And just feed the belt through your beautifully made pleats. So you have a section of belt on either side, right? Good. Everybody following me here? Apron, apron, pleats, belt. There's the belt. And then you would just lay in it like a boss and see if you can get it at the right height. So you want the edge of the fabric here to be at the back of your knees like you would wear your kilt. And then you fold the aprons around yourself, cinch the belt up, and you're good to go. So I'm going to turn this sideways so we can see it. It's not going to look pretty, but we can pretend. So, just lay in it, find that apron you had, which is now stuck on the belt, perfect. Fold, front apron, fold, get it right where you want it, because once you stand up, you're stuck with it. Then you would buckle your belt, and apparently my kilt belt doesn't have a buckle on it, derp, and stand up. And when you do that, you got all this extra fabric that hangs out in the front, which you guys can't see. You got all this extra fabric that hangs out on top of your belt. Like, let's assume that I have buckled my belt, which apparently I cannot do. And you got all this extra fabric. If your fabric's long enough, you'll pull it up and it'll end up just like, you know, the modern version of the fly plaid, but it actually just wraps around you like a great kilt or a belted plaid should. And if not, what I do is I kind of take it, there's two sides of it, right? Here's one side, and here's the other. And I just kind of roll them up so that they sit kind of up here, and then I just tuck it into the belt. Same thing with the other side. Roll that shit up, get it out of the way, tuck it into the back of the belt. Now you have your front, you have your apron, you have your belt, you got access to your knives and whatever, and then you put your spoor in here. So, in real life, that's what I have here, is I've got both of those pieces rolled up and out of the way. There's the belt. And then you've got, underneath it, you've got the aprons. And then in the back, they kind of form this ridiculous looking tail, that underneath which you can see all the pleats. And if my fabric was long enough, I would have it up over the shoulder, but for whatever reason, standard length plaid fabric from Joann's is not wide enough. You can get it long enough if you're smart about it, but you can't get it wide enough. And I don't remember what the measurement is. It's a substantial measurement. I think that it wants to be like 55 or something inches wide. I'm sure one of you internet people can clarify that for me. But anyway, that's the belted plaid, the Great Kilt. Sport Kilt sells a Great Kilt package, which is 8 yards of fabric or whatever it is. And you have to do what I just did. You have to pleat it yourself, lay it down on it, belt it, and then you've got all this extra fabric that you can do with it. I'll try and link to their video because they have a pretty funny and or much better video than what I just described. But they want like 150 bucks for this thing. And I'm not I mean, if Sport Kilt was selling wool kilts, it'd be like, yeah, it's a screaming deal. I'll take 3. But because they're selling like regular cotton acrylic blends or whatever it is, I can't bring myself to pay that $150 for that just bolt of fabric and a belt. Especially when you can get the same thing at Joann's for less than half the price. So that's what I did. I'm not being paid by Joann's to say this, although I would take some money. If you were a classy broad about this, or classy in general, you would probably hem the edges on this so that they aren't all frayed and ugly looking. But I'm not that kind of classy person, and I don't wear this very often. This is to be the first time actually I've ever worn it to work. So if I pull it off today and I get lots of compliments on it, like I usually do, because most people can't tell the difference between a sport kilt, a utility kilt, and a great kilt, and the kilt you paid $3,000 for, from Scotland, I'm gonna wear it today, see if I can get away with it. If that doesn't work, then fair enough. Maybe I'll quit, and if it works, then maybe I'll get the edges taken care of on this. I'll have my buddy sew them, or maybe I'll sew them myself. Who knows? I've been known to sew things once in a while. Anyway, so there's our little belted plaid / great kilt lesson of the day. I'm going to be hanging out in mine all day. Maybe we'll take some pictures and put them on the blog. Yeah, that's what I know. So, maybe I'll check in with you guys next week. My name is Matt, and this is the Year of the Kilt, and I'll see you guys in May.